Netflix makes a lot of content. I mean, a lot of content. A lot of it's great. Most of it is trash. Netflix has this incredible skill to make the same movie, but release it 2,000 times. And there's no bigger culprit of this than the Netflix heist movie. Heist movies are supposed to be these action-packed, suspense-filled events with great cast and writing. A Netflix heist movie is the same movie with Ryan Reynolds or Kevin Hart 30 times. And they're like stealing a painting on a spaceship or a plane, or they're FBI agents who are now art thieves. It's pretty convoluted, man. It actually sucks because if you want to just copy heist movies, there's so many good heist movies to go from. There's Baby Driver, Inside Man, Takers. Actually, Takers isn't that good a movie, but still. With a multi-billion-dollar company like Netflix, do you think they'd actually be able to make good movies instead of making F-tier movies and copying them 10 times? I'm sure if you're Ryan Reynolds, you don't care because you're a billionaire at this point, but if you're the audience, this shit kind of sucks to watch. Seeing the same movie get made over and over again is such a horrible indication of where we're at as far as the creative space goes. It's very clear we've moved away from making art and more to, Nancy, get Ryan on the line. I got a new movie for him. Which is a horrible precedent to set if you're the unemployed friend on a Tuesday afternoon. What are you gonna do with your whole day? No good movies. What, scroll LinkedIn? Nuh-uh. This conveyor belt style of content creation is especially important to me as a guy who spends all his free time trying to make videos. And I'm seeing all this corner cutting happening in all the mediums I enjoy. Really, if you're wondering why that's happening, like anything else that's bad, it comes down to money. I've made a nice number of videos at this point, and I can confidently say that I was trying to be as original as possible with every single one I made. I'm sure I fumbled that at some points or another, but that's the game. That being said, imagine if I made the Holes video 15 times. Same jokes, same everything, maybe a slightly different cut in the editing, and I'm wearing different clothes when you see me. Nobody would want to watch that. You've seen it before. Netflix has the same issue. Netflix has this incredible ability to take the one piece of content and make it 20 times. And it sucks because in a medium as creative as filmmaking, they've taken it from art to a pure money game. Don't get me wrong, I love money as much as the next guy. I like living in a house and wearing gold chains, but I always felt like art should be kept separate from money. I don't know why, but the way I always saw it was that an artistic endeavor would always be corrupted by the pursuit of money. It happens every time. I'm sure people are staring at me crazy right now like, Qloudy, what are you talking about? These are heist movies. We're not looking for any masterpiece. We're just trying to zone out and do our laundry. Kind of like how we zone out and watch your videos. But to that I would say, just because a heist movie is like an action type movie doesn't mean it can't have good writing, good storytelling, good casts. It doesn't have to just be brain rot to do while you're doing laundry. Look at the movie Inside Man. It's a heist movie, but it has a good cast, it has good writing, it has good everything. It's a good movie, not just a good heist movie. Now juxtapose that with the Netflix heist movie, Army of Thieves. A movie about a cool, crafty thief that assembles a crew of Interpol's most wanted criminals for an impossible heist. That sounds like the most generic shit ever. But wait, there's more. There's a sequel to Army of Thieves, where it's pretty much the same movie, but with zombies in it. Yeah. And then there's another movie that's a different movie, but it's pretty much Army of Thieves again, but it's on a plane. I love this shit so much. Netflix heist movies are the most cookie cutter movies I've ever seen in my entire life. And I think they know that because they keep putting these dumb caveats in the movies, like it's on a plane or there's zombies. I feel like they're all in the boardroom, like, okay fellas, hear me out. Army of Thieves is a hit. We need to strike again while the iron is hot. Okay, how about this? A cool, crafty thief. Yeah? And he assembles his team of criminals to do this really daring and impossible heist. Wait, that's just Army of Thieves. Again. You haven't heard the twist yet. Oh, tell me about it. Daring, impossible heist, right? In a zombie apocalypse. Whoa. And we'll call it Army of the Dead. Oh, because of all the zombies and they're dead? No, because my creativity died years ago. I love it. Quick, Cancel 5 really well-made popular shows so we can devote as much time and money to this as possible. You know, maybe it's unfair that I hyper-focus on Netflix movies, because what we see with the Netflix heist movie is the same thing we see with video games, with television, even traditional art nowadays is driven by money, by greed. Looking at it objectively, if I was a loser only driven by money, why would I care about the craft and the integrity of my art? Why would I greenlight another season of an amazing show like Mindhunters when I can just greenlight season 20 of Big Mouth, a show that Diddy loved? Look at the games industry. For the past 5 years, studios have been releasing unfinished games with higher and higher price tags and using more and more deceptive practices to do it. And more than that, a lot of games feel like other games as opposed to being its own original piece of art. I have a genuine issue. It's that every few months I feel like I'm wasting $70 for a game I'm very excited for, but I will come to learn I should not have been excited for it. I know I spent the video so far hyper focusing on Netflix movies, but to be honest, this is bigger than Netflix movies. This has to do with art as a whole. Video games have been the most prevalent victim of the factory mentality in recent years. Games have been dropping with higher and higher price tags, and most of the time they're either not finished or they are finished, but they feel like an entirely different game that I have already played. And I'm not talking about games in a series. Like, I'm expecting Black Ops 6 to feel like every other Black Ops. That's what I bought the game for. But why does every first-person shooter feel like the same game? X-Defiant felt like Call of Duty. The Finals feels like Call of Duty. At this point, the only original game is Bloons Tower Defense. Like I said, unoriginality is not the only issue facing games these days. Another big issue is that this shit is really not finished when it gets released. The earliest example I can think of this is Sonic 06. You know, that game that everyone loves and it's famous for having no problems at all? I've actually played Sonic 06 twice, 5 years apart from each other, and both times I can confidently tell you that was the biggest waste of time I've ever experienced. The only bright spot was that I didn't pay $60 for the game, because if I did, that would have been my 13th reason. Another game that was unfinished to the point of there being mass refunds was Cyberpunk 2077. Hey, too early, buddy. The most unfortunate part about the factory mentality is that more often than not, it's not the fault of the producer, the writer, the developer. It's the fault of the suits on top of them. It's the fault of the guys who sign their paychecks, who make the big bucks, the guys who show up and are like, damn, you think we can fit a battle pass into this? Sir, this is Surgeon Simulator. It's important to recognize that a lot of the people who are really pouring their sweat in to make these pieces of art don't actually have a lot of control on how it's made. I'm making a video about this in the future, so I don't want to get too in depth, but juxtapose the last 5 years of AAA game releases with the last 5 years of indie game releases, and to be honest, I see more standouts from the indie game section. Disco Elysium, Animal Well, Hades, Project Zomboid, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, and probably like a trillion other titles that I haven't said because I haven't gotten through all of them yet. Whereas for the past 5 years of AAA game releases, we've gotten the Spider-Mans, we've gotten Ragnarok, we've gotten Elden Ring, we've gotten Wukong, and these are amazing games. I love these games, don't get me wrong. But in between each of these releases, we had a lot of bullshit. Whereas in between every indie game release, we had good indie games. Game devs have the ability to get out from under the suits because indie games are actually a very operable venture if they have good marketing. Whereas it's a much more Herculean task to get out from under a big corporation like Netflix, which controls how many seasons you get, how many movies you can release per year, how many seasons of Big Mouth they're gonna greenlight. It should have been 0, but here we are. I find it deeply fascinating, but mostly worrying, why executives have been given free rein to ruin pretty much every piece of creativity they come across. It's like if I hired a plumber, but instead of telling him to go fix my pipes, he goes to do open heart surgery. Executives fundamentally have no idea what goes on in the creative space, but because of their status, they can just shoulder check their way into everything. Don't get me wrong, a lot of games and movies are just ass. But a lot of the time, it's not the fault of the creators. It's the fault of the people above them. They're the ones greenlighting factory movies. They're the ones greenlighting AI being part of the production. They're the one forcing unrealistic deadlines on game developers so that what gets released is just a slightly more finished beta. The factory mentality is something we're going to be stuck with for the next little bit because it's ingrained in all the creative mediums that we enjoy. When I was younger, I was genuinely fascinated by film and games and TV. I looked at everything around me with this childlike whimsicality, like I had a fucking propeller hat on and this big lollipop. Now I feel like I just finished a shift on my oil rig and I went home and my bitch wife is complaining about, oh, all you do is spend money on Fortnite skins. Bitch, if I want to buy the perfect cell skin on Fortnite, I can. Not to be a Debbie Downer, but I am a big believer in things getting worse before they get better. And what I'm seeing now is the complete collapse of creativity in the pursuit of monetary gain. It's not anything we haven't seen before, nor is it like some apocalyptic sign or whatever. But if you're broke with no hustle and you want to watch a movie or get on the game, that might be difficult for a while. At least until two things happen. One, the creatives actually lock arms with each other and go to bat for what they want to create. And two, the viewers stop being zombies and just consuming everything that gets put in front of them. I think if these two things were realized, it would probably set the stage for the creation of the most amazing pieces of art known to man. But no matter what, for the love of God, cancel Big Mouth immediately.
She asked me what I wanna tell her. I told that bitch to buy me Saint Laurent. Those are the days, what I really want. I could get it for the low, I tell her no. Pay the full just to give it back. Those running James, pockets full of cash. I'm always fitted when I go and swag.